Okay guys, welcome back to Project Station Invasion. In this video we're going to start introducing some PHP into our characters page. Now the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start a new PHP file, and we're going to clear out the page and open up our PHP tags. We're then going to start our sessions and connect to our database. We're now going to use the 4 sessions that we set when logging in to check for that the user account the user is logged into is valid. So we'll start by pasting these sessions in and just adjust these. Okay, now we're going to save it, and we'll save it into the scripts, and we'll just call this setup.inc.php. Now this setup page we're going to include in all of our main pages. So we've got here our 4 session variables, and we're going to put these values into separate variables. So we're going to have a UID, email, salt, and password before connecting to our database and running a query. Okay, so that's our query. We're going to select the account ID from the user account table, where the account ID equals the variable UID, and the account email equals the email, and salt equals salt, and account password equals the password variable. And we're just going to limit that to 1. Right, we're then going to execute that query and store the return in the SQL variable. So we're then going to run an if statement. If SQL num rows is less than 1, then we're just going to header the user back to the index page, and this just stops them getting in without being logged in. So now if I save this and we come back over to our game, when I try to go to the character page, I should be forced back to this index page, and evidently I don't. And the reason being is probably because I haven't included that PHP file. So if we require that file once, and then we go back and try it, we'll just refresh, and I'm forced back out into the index page because I haven't logged in. Okay, so in order for us to move on, we're going to come back to our index page and we're going to find the point where we're logging us in. Now, on this at this part here on the success, we're currently just opening a notify message. If we come down here, if we successfully log in, our register.php page is echoing out the word pass, and this indicates that we've successfully logged in and we can continue forward. So if we come back over to our index page, and what we'll do is we'll just go if message equals pass, then we're going to force our user into the character page, else we're just going to open that notify message and inform them that the logging in had failed. So we're going to force our user and through to the next page by just doing window.location equals, and we're just going to put in character.php and save it. So now if we just refresh and we go to login, and we log in, we didn't get forced through. Okay, so the problem is that on our query I didn't wrap the email, salt and password variables in single quotes, so it was producing a query error. So now we're logged into our account here. Right, so the only other thing we need to do before we can move on to altering this is on our index page we need to run a little check to see if is set the session of UID, and if it is, we're going to header the page to the character.php page and save that. So now if we try to come back to our index page, we get sent straight back to the character page. Okay, so now we've done that. Next on our list, we're going to get rid of that and get rid of that. These three divs here, which on the page is this one here, that one and that one, we're going to remove this and we're going to load this information through another PHP page. So we'll start off by creating a div which will act as the holder. So we'll just call this character hold, and in our PHP script we're just going to include something. So we're going to go back and we're going to start a new PHP page. And again we're going to run the session start, but this time we're going to put an @ sign before it. This stops any errors being displayed because we're going to use this same script when it comes down to Jquery and creating a new character. Right, so firstly we're going to just register a new variable of UID, and we're going to just call it session. We're just going to call up the session variable of UID. We're then going to run a query. Okay, so here's our query. We're just selecting the C name, C class. We also want the character ID in there. Oops. We're taking the level to create date and the location, and this is from the user characters database that we created earlier. We're also going to connect to the database, but only if our connect variable does not exist. So if we just do connect, we want is set connect, or if is not set, then we're going to start us connect to the database. So we're going to save this. We're going to make a new folder inside the scripts folder, and we're just going to call this includes, or INC. I'm just going to call this load player data. Oops. Right, so now we've run the query, we've executed the query, and we're storing the information into the SQL file variable. We're going to count the characters. Which is equal SQL num rows, and I've put limit 1 on the end here. We don't want to limit it, obviously. Right, so I'll tell you why we're storing that in a little while. Then we're going to run a while loop. A while row equals SQL fetch object. We're going to print out these. Okay, so this is what we're printing out. We're printing out that first div, and we're giving it a class of full. We're we're printing out the h3 tag with the character's name inside, followed by the paragraph tags, which contain the level, class, the creation date, and the last seen date. So this will create as many characters as has already been created. Now we need to account for the ones which haven't been created. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an if count character is less than 3, then we're going to do something. Okay, so in the if statement, we're just running a for loop. X equals the count character variable, and then while x is less than or equal to 3, we're going to print this empty div, or the div with the h1 tag saying empty. So we're going to save that before the end of the video. We're going to save that, and we're just going to include this PHP, save that, and we'll come back and test it in the next video.